Hi to everyone. Hi, Michal. I make you a co-host, and we have some preparation things stuff. So, like in a few minutes, we can start.
Okay, thank you.
Michal, can you check? Can you share the presentation?
Yeah. Try that. Ooh. I can't see it. Yeah, share the screen. Here we got it. Good.
Yeah, just try. Is it work or not? To be sure, to be clear with it.
Yep. Here we go. Share the screen. Good. Can you see that?
Yeah. I see it. Great. I am I'm calm that everything is work properly. So yeah. Okay, so we can wait like 5 minutes more to wait all participants, and also to wait Mr. Valery, who will be a co-moderator of this online seminar. Oh, nice. Valery Petrovich, hello.
Hello, good to see you. I'm sorry for being late.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we can start. For all participants, I'm glad to see you here in our online seminar. It's a short one seminar, and I'm really happy. And Today we have a topic about open air museums, and today Michal will share with us his knowledge, and yes, basically the whole seminar will be like maximum 90 minutes. We have presentation part and then Q&A part, and Valery Petrovich will help us with moderation of that part. I think we can start, so let's go.
Good luck.
Michal,
Here we
please.
go. Yeah. Okay, so good afternoon or good evening, everyone. I think it's already dark in Ukraine, isn't it? It's almost dark here. So my name is Mіхал Медек, and I want to share you the topic of heritage interpretation, which is my expertise. And we came to it about 15 years ago, when our national parks in the Czech Republic started to understand that you can have conservation measures, you can have the laws and everything, but unless people respect them, they don't work. You need to work with people, you need to educate them so they respect what national parks want them to do. And that's why we started to go deeper into it. And I would say that after 15 years, we accumulated quite a lot of knowledge. We work with national parks, protected landscape areas, I would say all of them in the Czech Republic. And we also, I'm just going to Slovakia in 2 weeks for a meeting of Slovakia national parks, because they want also to build visitor centers. And they came over and could see what we are doing and want to share this experience. So in 2 weeks, I'll be in Moraňská Plaňa National Park in the Carpathians, talking to people from Slovakian national parks. So how I came to this field, you know, I've been guiding in the Moravian Karst area. A Moravian Karst, it's an area with, it's a small protected landscape area, or we can call it national park. And we've got about 1,000 caves there. And since 1998, I was guiding there groups of tourists, school groups, mostly doing programs for them. And I quite soon, I understood that that it's very difficult actually to capture attention and to make people keep attention for, say, 1 hour, 2 hours when we are out in the nature, because you know they are not that much interested in all those Latin names and biology in general. And then came a project, a huge project funded by European Union that started 2009. And throughout that project, we built dozens of visitor centers in protected landscape areas and national parks. And I was in the board of this project. So my task was, along with others, to oversee the project. And I realized that there is no one in this like 12 people who really understands how to do visitor centers and how to work with visitors in national parks, although they were responsible for that. And this led me to studying 4 years in the United Kingdom, this field of interpretation. And after that, we completely changed the view, and we are on how to work with visitors. And we also started Czech Association for Heritage Interpretation, and we do a lot of other stuff that I show you on following slides. We started from scratch, but and we also started cooperation with Interpret Europe. I'm a training coordinator of Interpret Europe, and this is here to invite you to the conference. The last conference was in Romania, in Sighișoara, and this will be in Slovenia, in Koper, and we usually have subsidies for Ukrainians to take part. So this year in Sighișoara, as far as I know, Ukrainians have free entrance because the other countries subsidize them. So we started Czech Association for Heritage Interpretation as like a group of people who really wanted to change the situation, how we educate visitors in the national parks, how we work with people in also museums, exhibitions, culture, heritage as well. And yeah, by the way, this is my university. This is my faculty. This is where I teach, and I got office there. Masaryk University Brno, Faculty of Social Science. And in 2016, we started a subsidiary of this NGO, like non-governmental organization, Czech Institute for Heritage Interpretation. And I'm director of that. And my colleague, Mr. Ptáček, is chairman of our national association. So, and what we do business basically. But as we are non-profit, we invest the money that we earn into making publications, etc. So what we do trainings. This picture is from this Tuesday, so it's just 2 days old. And this man here is Graham Black. Graham Black is the most influential man in exhibitions and museumology, of like most influential European, I would say, in this century. And we organize this training with the people from Czech museums on how to make exhibitions engaging, how to engage people who come to museums into the exhibitions. It was very successful. So this is one of our trainings. Most of the trainings we take Interpret Europe trainings. We also take part in their development. Oh, this was fun. This is live interpretation, how to make like costume, how to make people understand cultural heritage when you wear costumes. It's not that easy. But most of our work is with rangers and people from national park. Like this is a picture in Moravian cars. We also do research. So we do visitor research. So we try to find out how people perceive the place. Because before we start to do anything, we need to understand the people. Because if you want to change behavior, if you want to change, if you want to educate people, you first need to understand why they are behaving this way, with what concepts they come to national park, or what they expect to be, what they expect to have there, and then you can try to change it. But before, unless you understand it, you can't change it. So there are a lot of attempts that were just burning of money. I mean, people were building educational trails, etc., and it didn't work because they just didn't start it with understanding the visitors. So these are examples. This one, it's from a place that was felt over tourism. So we and they asked what to do about it. And this is a research from the Carpathians, the second largest Carpathian open air museum in Western Carpathians. So they wanted to understand their visitors and change their exhibitions, how they show Carpathian culture, Western Carpathian culture there. This is an exhibition from there. Yeah, this is cultural heritage, a big golden shrine. We made that exhibition last year. We finished that last year, the project. It was very profitable. And yeah, and this is the open air museum in the Western Carpathians, where we, so we make the visitor research and then we suggest how to change the way the museum communicates with people, what to put on the panels, to print brochures, etc. And then we also print publications. So this is our first monography in Czech about interpretation. And then these are available online, but in Czech, I'm sorry, it's about educational trails, how to make the panels that you put into nature. That I was editing this one. We also researched on digital interpretation, how people use smartphones while being in nature, if they use and how they use them, if they use the apps that were developed by national parks for them, or also Czech Geological Survey and other institutions. Yeah, this is a manual for smaller villages, how to deal with tourists and how to interpret their heritage. This is translation of training for interpretive guides from English, from Interpret Europe. And now in print or in preparations is this. It's like the digest of interpretation. So we actually put together about 15 publications that were printed in the United States and UK and Western Europe over the past 50 years, and make like a small digest from that so that people can read it in Czech. Of course, we needed to buy the copyrights for that, so it's expensive. And the last picture about us is that we got Heritage Interpretation Library. So we buy everything on Amazon or whatever. We buy it so people in our country can get more educated and make interpretation better. So so that's it's just one part of it's much larger. There's also one title in Russian, I must say. It's from our colleague from Belarus. It's Interpretacja naslедия туризма. She's from University of Minsk. Well, she mostly translates American authors. She comes from American authors. So what will be this lecture about? We will look at the methodology, how it started in National Park Service in the United States about 60 years ago. Then we look at heritage interpretation, what it is and how it differs, for example, from environmental education. Then we look how the field developed, and we look at thematic interpretation, which is the current most influential school, I would say. So how thematic interpretation works, and then there's a slide about different disciplines and also what the current discourse in the field is about. So let's see. This year, we published an international book at Springer about outdoor environmental education. And while writing down some parts of it, I started studying like the archives and look at the history. And I was quite impressed by like two things. Well, if you try to find out who first used the word interpretation, it would be Enos Mills, but not in 1920. This is just the bibliography. But much earlier, at the end of 19th century. And he actually, he was a naturalist in Rocky Mountains in the United States. And he wanted to live in nature, but there were no jobs there. So what he started guiding people. And very soon he started to understand that if you only name flowers, animals, rocks, people are not interested. And so he started to he needed to change his view as a naturalist, and he started thinking how to make it exciting for people. And so he started, this is it, he said, hence I began to state information about most things in the form of its manners and customs, as if it were like people. So he was talking about flowers as if they were people, and he uses the word interpretation there. And then another interesting thing was that National Park Service, they started operation 1916, and 16 years later, in 1932, they still didn't know how to show people the natural heritage of American national parks. As this, you can read this quote here. They still hoped that they in the future find some method how to actually educate visitors who come to national parks about the nature and about the treasures of nature. And that moment came 25 years later in 1957. Please, can I have a short feedback? Can you understand what I'm saying? Am I not too fast?
Well, actually, it's okay with me, but I don't know how about students.
Yeah, guys, students, how are you doing? You can put it into chat. Just tell me, I'm not here just to present. I'm here for you. Is it okay? Or am I too fast?
Well,
everything is okay. You can make faster.
Can I be faster?
Yes, everything is okay. Don't worry.
Okay, good. Thank you, Julia.
We follow you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's go to 1955. 25 years to 1957, but I just explain why. In 1955, National Park Service persuaded United States federal government into a huge investment project for 10 years, started 1955 to 1966, because 1966 was the 50th anniversary of the National Park Service. And by that date, they wanted their national parks to be easily accessible by American public. So they built the asphalt roads, they built the campsites there, they built the visitor centers, as you can see here, this one, which is now actually demolished. But so they made huge investments, billions of dollars. And the way, if you go over to United States and you visit American national parks, it's still there. It's the Mission 66. It's still there because before it was, for example, difficult to reach Grand Canyon. You need to go on a gravel road with a horse or whatever, you know. And so it was huge investment into making national parks accessible to public. But apart from investing into concrete, they also started thinking, okay, so now we got those visitor centers and we make everything much better, but how we would deal with visitors. And they asked this man, Freeman Tilden, to actually to find out how to deal with visitors. And I'm really impressed by this man because he was not naturalist, he was not teacher, he was journalist. He was journalist who loved, actually he first wrote science fiction, but then in 1940s during the wartime he switched his attention to nature and American national parks, and he wrote beautiful books about American nature and like, you know, admiration, beautiful books like David Attenborough of that time, I would say. And that's why the director of National Park Service asked him to go around the United States and collect examples and find out the methods how to deal with public and national parks. He got 1 year free budget, so he could spend how much he wanted. He got car and assistant for this, and he started his journey around American national parks. But what's so impressive on Freeman Tilden is that in 1956, when he started his journey, he was 73 years old. Wow. So at the age of 73, he started completely new field and completely new career, which is amazing. And in 1957, he published this book, Interpreting Our Heritage. I may have it somewhere here. Yeah. So this book, Interpreting Our Heritage, this is 2007 edition. It has got dozens of editions so far. And in this book, he coined 6 principles on how to work with people in national parks. And we will go through them now. So his first principle is that an interpretation or communication with visitors, you can say as well, that does not relate to what that does not relate what people can see to what is in their hearts and what is their life experience, then it doesn't work. You know, you only are receptive if the thing that your, say, professors talk about, when you can see that it relates to you, to your life. Okay, you may be receptive for other reasons, like finish the university, right, or getting a degree or whatever exam. But if you are in free time, if you are on vacation, you are in different mode. You are not pushed to learn. So that's why he find out that you need to kind of touch the personal experience of people. And I should give you an example. Please now get ready for chat. So I sent you an example from Montezuma National Park. It's on National Monument, sorry. It's in between Arizona and Utah. You see it on the pictures. It's a pueblo here. Oh, you can't see it. Wait, here is a pueblo that once visitors could go there and see it, like, you know, native Indian village. But but it was closed then because they made erosion. Too many people made erosion, so now it's closed, and you can only look at it from down the valley. So, and they've got this like 1980s technology there, which is diorama and a speaker, and it shows people. It tries to introduce what happened there in the past. And I made a recording there, so I try to give that to you into a chat. Oops, I just can't find the chat here while presenting. Sorry, I'll finish my presentation. No, yeah, I finished presentation just in order to give you the link to YouTube video where, come on. I'm sorry, I can't see the main, here we are. It just changed. Where's the chat? Chat, here we go. So look at the chat. You've got a YouTube link there. It's just 1 minute. So have a look at that and you will see how they try to show the life of Indians or Native Americans there through the diorama. So I give you, 1.5 minutes to have a look at that.
The remains of a once vibrant village. A village of people who experienced wants and needs, anxiety and fear, joys and sorrows, just as you and I today. On the top floor, the elderly village lookout keeps his solitary vigil. His eyes search for approaching danger to those working the fields below the Catholic vacation. It seems that over the ages, children and their actions change very little. On the fourth floor, you'll find a concerned mother scurrying to reach her adventuresome son, precariously balanced on the edge of the roof. On the third floor, an aging man leads his blind wife across the balcony. You'll also meet women busily preparing food, getting supplies from storerooms, making crockery and grinding corn. Usually women ground the corn, their staple food, only in small as needed quantities.
Okay, so I could hear that Valerie went through it.
Yeah, I did.
So what's the point there? You see, they were talking about the life in the past, but they were actually using the same emotions that we go through today. You know, that you take care of someone, you are afraid of your child, you know, falling down or being hurt, or you are preparing food, or you are on a watch for danger, you know. So that's the point. They were not talking about the history. They were talking about how the people live there in the way that me and you could relate to them. So this is the first principle of Freeman Tilden, how to work with people in national parks. So let's have a look at the second one. The second says that information is not interpretation. We always base it upon information, but what we do is that that we reveal what we call deeper truths to people. Again, it's similar. I also got a film here, so you can watch it, but I'm not sure, like, time-wise, you know. I may send it over to you later. It's a Czech film from about like 1940s, and it shows clearly what the deeper meaning means. It's just like 6 or 7 minutes part of it. But the point is, for example, it's like in films or in novels. You read a novel. Why you read novel? It never happened. Why you watch a film? It never happened. But you look at it because it has got these deeper meanings deeper meaning for you, because it shows you, though in fictional worlds, that that people behave in a certain way, and you can relate to that film, or you can relate to that novel. So this is what we call the deeper truth, something behind. I just give you an example from Freeman Tilden. He says, you know, when you visit a house where Abraham Lincoln or Taras Shevchenko was born, you know, when you visit the house where he was born, you should not come out of a house knowing all the dates about him. You know, he did this and that and was born that day. You should go out of a house and say, it was a great man, and he was courageous, and he was talented, but he also worked hard, and he went over obstacles and difficulties, and I want to be like him. You know, so this is what we could call deeper truth, that something that touches us and our lives, not the dates. Oh yeah, and then I really like this, and you may know it from your own experience. This quote from the book Landscape and Memory by Shama. It's about, it says that once there is a story that's in the landscape connected with the place, and we come there and we know the story, then we understand the place in a different way. So, for example, I give you an example from the Carpattia region. You know, I hope you all know where is Volovec. Знаете? Okay. Verecký Pereval, Prusmi. Verecký mountain pass. Okay, you know?
Mountain pass, yeah.
Yeah, there was a big trouble. There were like 600 or 500 siege fighters were slaughtered there by Polish army in 1939. There is a cemetery of siege fighters who wanted independence, but you know, there were Hungarians coming from south and Polish from north. Hungarians caught them and gave them to Poles, and Poles killed them on the spot. And there's like a big monument. And I was thinking, oh, this is a dark history. That's really something I never knew about. And I thought that the monument is kind of connected with this history. But then, when I came back home from Zakarpattia, I learned it's something else. The monument is connected with Hungary. Hungarians, I don't want to go into details, and it completely changed my perception of the place. So the story actually changes our perception of places. Okay. So number 3, we skip this one, we don't go deeper into this, is that interpretation is an art that combines many arts. And of course, you need to do multiple things. If you want to deal with visitors, you need to be a teacher, you need to understand natural history, cultural history as well. And the question is, can you teach it someone or not? And Freeman Tilden says, oh, you know, any art is to some degree teachable. This is, yeah, you need to have a talent, but you can also learn something. So yeah, so that's a big question. If you are born a good teacher, or if you need to do a lot of training. And the picture here is from that's me actually. This is our training of on-live interpretation this June with Mark Wallis from London. Okay, this is important one. Number 4, the chief aim of interpretation is not instruction but provocation. We think, okay, when people come to a national park, we got a tendency to instruct them, do this, don't do this, learn this, etc. But it doesn't work like that. They are in their free time. They are there to socialize, to have a nice time. They don't want to be instructed. So instead, we need to provoke them to think, because, and this is the very basic of today's pedagogy, actually constructivist pedagogy approach, is that we believe that people learn themselves. It's not like, you know, me teacher with like the class, the knowledge, and giving it to the students, right? It's not like that. It works a different way. It works the way that the students you are learning them yourself. So I can imagine at this very point, maybe 2/3 of you who are present are not listening to me and are doing something else on your computers. It's perfect. Do that. but you just missed something, you know? It's your choice. And the rest of you are maybe listening to me, and some of you may be saying, well, this is something interesting. Maybe I should learn something more about it or read something more about it. So it's your choice. And this is how we approach the pedagogy today. So this is, and this quote here by our professor of education is typical idea of constructivist pedagogy, that we that each person is learning by himself or herself. But the point is, we can help it if we provoke thinking, because if people only listen to you and say, yeah, interesting, then they are receiving something. But if you provoke them thinking, if you, for example, use some controversial information, then they need to use their brains, and at this very point they remember. Only when you use your brain you start remembering, and because you need to process the ideas in order to be yours. Okay, number 5 out of 6. Interpretation should present the whole rather than a part, and also employ as many senses as possible. Well, the quote is a bit different, but this is what it basically says. You should also employ different senses. And those of you who are ever with the children out there in nature, you know how good it is to taste things, you know. You taste, smell, admire colors, employ many senses. But here it also says something else. I'll give you an example, one from Japan, one from the United States. This is from United States. It's southern Utah. I can't remember how. It was a volcano, you know, like, non-active volcano. And there was a visitor center. And you went through the visitor center learning about the volcano. And at the end, there was this screen. And on the screen, you could see earthquakes around the earth in the last 2 days. So, you know, you were going around like that volcano, you learn about it and what it meant for the Native Americans, etc. And then you come to a screen and it shows you the bigger picture, how this volcano is a part of the whole chain of volcanoes around the Pacific. And on the other screen, you could see also the magnitudes of earthquakes in past like 2 days or so. So similarly, for example, if you got a national park in the Carpathians and we would suggest a visitor center there, what we want is that, of course, you learn about this very national park, but then you got this overall picture. It's part of the Carpathians. It's part of something bigger, and it relates to the Alps and you know, Caucasus and other like big European or world mountain ranges. Another example is quite dark, I would say, or moving. This is exhibition in Hiroshima about the atomic bomb blast. It's well done. From professional point of view, it's well done, because when you go through the exhibition, at the end, you know this must never ever again in the world, never ever. And the point is that it's based on a story. It's based on time, actually, and you've got like each seconds, you know, first second what happened, second, etc. What it's made with the people. It's not about the physics of the blast. It's about the people. What does it mean for the people who were in Hiroshima on that bloody morning, and it's like and this is from the part. This is about how the clothing baked into skin of people, you know, from the heat that it baked the clothing to the skin. And it starts from a story of this guy Shigeharu Fukuoka, Hajime Fukuoka, who was a student, 14-year-old, and he just went to school. And then based on this, and you see his uniform, and then you see how that this was not only him, but it was another 20,000 people who got the same medical conditions after the blast. So you start with a like personal thing, and then you make it bigger. And then the last, this is quite fascinating for me because I also work in environmental education. The last principle of Freeman Tilden says that interpretation addressed to children, and he says approximately 12 years and younger, should be different. It works on different principles. And for me, this is interesting because he wrote in 1957. And at that time, Piaget was just making his experiments with children, what they can do, etc. So he got this 12 years of age. Today, we know much more about it. Today, I would make like 3 different stages within kids if we want to deal with children. So number 1 would be those like, the below 2. Then this 2 to 6 years old, when they still, cannot do generalization, when they are still focused very much on detail, and children got trouble of filtering what comes to them. And then this 7 to 11, when they can filter, they can make generalization, but they do not have metacognition. They can't understand that you can have different views at the same reality. So, but we will not deal with this further. Yeah, maybe we can, if I go to the Carpathian school, we can deal with that more. And then what's also interesting, even Vygotsky, in his, you may definitely heard about this, his zone of proximal development, he find out that when you've got children in a room and an adult, the children learns better. Even if the adult, if the child trusts the adult, even if the adult is not educating or doing anything with the child. And today, the learning theories of today are very much like this, because we now understand that learning is a social process. It's not individual, it's social. So it's about, it's very much about the atmosphere and the discipline in the group. So that's why you've got different high schools in Ukraine. Some of them are very good, some of them are not so good. And it's not just about how talented children there are, it's also about the atmosphere and the teachers' attitudes, etc. So it's a social process. Let's now have a quick look at what is heritage interpretation. So Freeman's definition would be it's educational activity. So you've got something, you go to national park, you see something, and someone tells you what is behind, so interprets what you can see. Don Eldridge, who was from the United Kingdom, he said, okay, it's the art of explaining something, a place, but in order to conserve, to save it, to have the conservation message. So it's a bit, I would say, shift from the original Tilden, because in the 1970s, interpretation started to be very much conservation and environmentally minded. And a couple of current definitions. These definitions are it's not anymore by individuals, it's by like professional groups, professional organization, like say Interpret Europe, which is not here, but say National Association for Interpretation in the United States is the largest one, about 5,000 members. You see, it's now approached as it's like a communication method. It's the method how to communicate with visitors and with general public about culture and natural heritage sites like national parks, monuments, etc. Okay, what it's not. Infotainment. Well, this is in Brno. If you come over to us, to Brno, this is like exhibition in Brno. It's about space. This is infotainment, because you see this is like the volcano on Mars, and then there are some experiments, etc. But there is no purpose. It's just like random things that you enjoy, but it doesn't lead you somewhere. It's also not edutainment. Edutainment is a very popular term now. It's like funny education. Guess where is this picture from? Where do you think is this picture from?
Looks like Disneyland.
It is Disneyland, yeah. So number one, which Disneyland it is? There are like just 4 or 5 Disneylands around the world, so not many. But this is Hong Kong. This is Hong Kong.
Uh-oh.
This is yeah. So you see, it's well, because the edutainment, the term was coined by Walt Disney. You know, they wanted to attract schools into their shows. So they say, oh, it's actually education. So it's funny education. So now in Florida, Disneyland, they offer a program about history of the Caribbean, which is, guess what? Pirates of Caribbean. So you've got those Pirates of Caribbean, the characters from the film, and they teach you about the history of the Caribbean. So, okay, come on. Let's go further in time. Of course, over the past 60 years, we've got a lot of research done about how people interact with visitor centers, educational trails, interpretive panels, guided tours, etc. A huge piece of research. There's the whole field. And based on that, I haven't got the, I haven't got the book here, but in 2002, there was this published the book by Beck and Cable made Interpretation for the 21st Century. And they just try to add some more to those 6 children's principles. And number one, what's quite interesting is that they said, we also got the seniors, and it's an important part of the audience. So we also need to deal with them in a bit different way. Number two, high technology can help, but it can also be very problematic. And we made a bitter experience in the Czech Republic with this. When we started building the visitor centers in national parks, there were people from the technological companies coming to our meetings and persuading the managers of national parks that it's the best thing is to put there some screen interactive or some like high-tech things. And now, just today, I've got a call with a director of our National Conservation Agency, and he asked me, Michael, we've got this super high-tech visitor center in Western Bohemia, and it doesn't work. Please, can you suggest how to change it and how to make a better exhibition in the visitor center in this national park so it really starts working? So it's very dangerous, and yeah, it looks beautiful, but it very often doesn't work. We need to be very cautious about it. That's our experience. It costs a lot of money and often doesn't work. Yeah, this is important. We will be dealing with that in the last part of the presentation. The quantity and the quantity. To put it simple, the less you say, the more people remember. There are also other attributes like it must be logic, etc. But the less is more very often. Okay, I skip arts because arts is, yeah, it's usually difficult to cooperate with artists because they got their own mind, and yeah, it's possible. It can yield great outcomes, but sometimes it's also difficult because they are not there to educate people, but to express themselves. So let's have a look at something. This is a karst area, so it's a limestone wall. It's in the United Kingdom, as you can see those hedges. It's in Yorkshire Dales, and it's in Yorkshire Dales National Park, and it's the name of the place is Melham Cove, and it's actually a spring. It's underground river that comes out from the rock, river flowing from the rock. So it's like a nature miracle.
Amazing.
We haven't got that in Czech Republic. We've got the river finishes at a rock by waterfalls. In Moravian Karst, we've got 3 places like that. But we've got nowhere where the rock would be, we've got one place. Yeah, we've got one place like that, where the rock actually goes underground and then comes underground again. And you see there are no interpretive panels there. In our country, there will be a lot of different panels. Well, they are there, but they are hidden like this. And this is how the panel looks like. And I want to show you these principles that we just talked about on this simple panel. Because what you can see here is a quote from some guy, Adam Walker, from 1779. Then there is this picture of a waterfall. And then there are like 3 or 4 sentences about the place. My question is, imagine you are there, you stay there, you look at the panel, and you see this natural wonder. what would you be thinking about?
Well, my thought, how wonderful is it, really, and very unique. I
Yeah,
didn't.
I think everyone would stay there and imagine the waterfall.
Yeah,
Not
it looks
just
like.
staying and say, wow, imagine there would have been such a huge waterfall as it was 50,000 years ago. And okay, and that's, you see, the simple picture actually drives your fantasies, and you start thinking about the place, and it attaches you to the place. And then there is this quote from Adam Walker from 1779. And you say, why there is such a quote from 1779? Because it doesn't tell anything. It just says it's a nice place, right? The reason is, again, it attaches to your emotions, because you say, you know, there was someone 245 years ago, and he was admiring the place, and I'm here now, and he was here 245 years ago, and he liked it as well as I do like it now. And this, again, gives you the idea that you are not the end of the world here. You know, you are only a visitor in a certain amount of time, and it should be here also when you leave, so your grandchildren could admire it the same way as you do, and as Adam Walker did 1779. Okay, I've got a couple of more from Black and Ted Cable, but I just skip it, because the passion. What's super important is the passion. If you are a guide in a national park and you speak like that, welcome to our national park. Our national park is 350 square kilometers large. We've got a lot of protected species here, and they are very interesting. No one listens to you. You need to show that you are passionate, and you should talk completely different. You should start, you know, as a child, I always loved nature, and I was fascinated by the variety of flowers. And that's why I work in a national park here, because I can admire it, and it's a dream work for me. And I want to show you what the treasures are here. You see, it's completely different. You show your passion. You show how important it's that for you, and that's why the visitors can share this with you. But we've got a whole training for guides on that. We've got 5 days training on guides from national park, how to deal with visitors. What are the specifics of the? Okay, so number one, it's an informal education, and the research shows us that people, when they go out to nature or to visitor center or to museum or wherever, they primarily go there not to learn something. They want to learn something as well, but they go there to socialize. They usually go there with friends, their like, you know, loved ones. They go with the family, etc., and they want to socialize. That's why the program comes second. And what helps me is to think about people in national parks as of people in supermarkets, shopping centers, shopping malls. Because when you go on shopping mall, you are not there just to buy things. You are also there to kind of enjoy your time, you know, stroll, buy something nice, etc., eat some food. And you are attracted by visual things, and you may also learn something, by the way, but you are in this like leisure mode. So, and we need to acknowledge that. So they can easily move their attention somewhere else. We are also competing in a free market with some other attractions and enjoyment, etc. And number one, they got completely different experience. So when I would be guiding in Moravian Karst, which is my area, and Valery Michalenko would come there, of course, I need to talk to him as to a geographer, because I know he's geographer, right? And but I could also have in a group people who are very good truck drivers, or they work in a shopping center, but they never were in, you know, they were never after flowers or geomorphology of the karst, etc. So that's why we need to we've got completely different people coming, and we need to serve to everyone, even those who don't understand the nature very much. And unlike with schools, we call this non-captive audience. And I've got this comparison of captive or non-captive audiences from this book by Sam Ham, Making a Difference on Purpose, which is great. It's a great book on how to do interpretation. It was published 10 years ago. And but I just skip it because I suppose that you receive my presentation as the PDF, right? I think it will be shared, so it's there. And now, how much time do I have? Have I 20 minutes, Valerie?
Yeah, we
Or
have
no?
time.
We have
Yeah.
time, great.
I can
Well,
share some time from from question and
Discussion,
answers
okay.
section. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to show you what the current field of the interpretation, which is thematic interpretation. That's the like the prevalent field, and I'll try to underpin it with some theory. I'm sorry, we do not have time for more theoretical background, but it's really well researched. Because this man, Sam Ham, he teaches psychology at the University of Idaho in the United States. But well, he has retired, but I think he's still teaching. And all his life, he was researching visitors as a psychologist, how they react to the things in national parks, what they like there, how to deal with them. You know, so he was like, he got the same task as Freeman Tilden, but he used scientific methods. But Freeman Tilden was just observing. And in this book, Making Difference on Purpose, I would also suggest another of his book, 1992, Environmental Interpretation. It's a really good one. It's how to make interpretation with small budgets. So it's a really good one. He puts like 4 principles of quality interpretation, 4 things that we need to mind. Number 1, we should have interpretation should have strong team. This is very difficult to explain in 20 minutes what the theme is, but if you go through this book, you understand that. I'll try, but this is the most difficult thing. Even people who go through a 5-day course got difficulty with that. But it's the very key of the educational method. Interpretation is well organized, is relevant to visitors, and is enjoyable experience. And he calls this the TOR model: thematic, organized, relevant, enjoyable. I give you an example. Look, this is a place I visited in a Peak District in the United Kingdom. It was about 15 years ago. I was preparing a study trip for Czech teachers there. And I said, okay, you know, we got Moravian karst with our caves. Let's have a look into cave in the UK, in Peak District. And so I went to the Speedwell Cavern, and it was nothing. We just went down on 150 stairs, then we hopped on a boat, and the guide just moved us through this corridor to this one single cave, you know, and it all cost £15. For me, it was nothing, because in Moravian karst, we've got much nicer caves, and we've got also boat trips with electric boats, and they do not last 300 meters. They are like 1 kilometer long. And so from this point of view, it was disappointment. But until today, after 15 years, I still remember what he was talking about. And meanwhile, I visited so many other caves, castles, national parks, and I don't remember much, but I can still remember what this guy was talking about, because he used thematic interpretation. So what was it all about? Was actually, there was a story behind this Speedwell Cavern. It's not, you see, it's not a natural cave, it's artificial. And it was made in early 19th century, because in first half of 19th century in the United Kingdom, they've got they wanted a lot of lead. They needed lead, you know, PB, the chemical substance. Plumbum, how is that? Olovo in Ukrainian?
No,
How you call
no,
it?
this is a lead and very poison metal.
Yes, yes. And how you call it in Ukrainian?
Actually, in chemical nomenclature is lead, but
Okay.
in Ukraine we can say svinets or kind of,
Svinets.
yeah.
Okay, good. So they tried to mine the. So at that time there was a lot of demand for this in the UK because they were using it for everything. They didn't know it's poisonous at that time, and so there were like 3 rich men, and they wanted to be even richer. So they put their fortunes together, and they made a geological survey there. And the geologists tell them, if you mine in this place, there is that's vignettes, you know, the lead is there, and you will become even more richer. So of course they employed workers, miners, and they started to mine this to find the lead, but they didn't succeed. And then they came to the point where they ran out of money, and they got this decision, you know, so shall we stop here and become penniless, or we can borrow money and we finally find the lead and all our investments come back, right? So they borrowed and they never find anything there, and they all finished badly. So one guy, he actually committed suicide. Another one finished, his wife divorced with him, and he finished in some like house for poor people, etc. So they all finished very badly. But actually for the people from the village, it was a blessing, because if they only have found the lead, the local people would stop farming and they would go mining. And of course, it was a big tragedy for the families, because the lead miners, they died after 8 years, usually, you know, 8-9 years, because it was poisonous. So, and this was the story I was told while going on a boat to this cave, and I can still remember it, because the guide, it was just a student, university student on a part-time work there. He narrowed it into this single story, and this is the very basic of thematic interpretation, that we narrow what you want to say to visitors into one simple sentence. This is how the sentence about the Speedwell Cavern could look like. You know, Speedwell Cavern was not only the most unprofitable lead mine in the world, but it also reminds us of industry that brought death to many poor families. So this is like this. We narrow all the topic that we can talk about: underground water, caves, mining, etc., into just like a simple story, and then everything else is there as well, but it's attached to the main storyline. So, and this is the core of thematic interpretation. I give you another example. Yeah, this is what it does. Especially for me, when I'm out there in nature, I tend to be encyclopedical. I want to talk about everything, and this stone, and this flower, and that, and you know, and in the past it didn't look like this. It was different. But the people, they are easily overwhelmed. They can understand things, they can learn things, but I need to structure them clearly. And if I do not put the clear structure there, they cannot learn. So, the main, this is the thematic interpretation. It's actually about structuring. I'm afraid I don't have enough time to go deeper in. I give you an example, okay? On the next slide, because so it's clearly connected with this, that interpretation is organized. It means we can learn much more if the information is structured and we know where we are in the structure. So at the moment in my presentation, we talk about thematic interpretation. The TOR model, we were thematic, and now we are O, that's organized, right? So you know where we are. And from the research we know, we cannot have more than 4 ideas at one moment. We cannot absorb more. Yes, Valery, time?
Yeah, no. I just like to ask people, what should we do? Whether do we have a lot of questions, or we can share another time, because it's very interesting and I'm amazing of this presentation. So But as a moderator, I need to ask people, what do they feel of this? And now it is my question. Hi, guys, what shall we do? I'd like to follow Michal and listen to his presentation. But if you have a lot of questions, we can stop and make another section like question and answer section. So what do you think about this? Please let me know.
I agree with you because it's really so much interesting and fascinating, and I really are able to know more, and I really need this, I guess.
Thank you. Does anybody has another point of view?
I agree with previous people, so I will listen the Michal because we
Yeah.
don't have so big experience like our expert, so we will listen.
Okay, so let me have at least 10 minutes for my questions.
Okay,
And
yes.
I am boring 20 minutes to you, Michal. Please
Okay.
go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. No, I'm already at the tour in O, you know, so we just got R and E, so it's not that much. We still will have discussion, don't worry. So, but let's come back to this. We know from research that we cannot cope with more than 4 ideas at one point. If there is too much at one level of hierarchy, we are getting overwhelmed. Our sensors, our ability to think about things is overwhelmed. So this is wait, I just skipped this. This is an example from Šumava National Park. It's on a border between Czech Republic and Bavaria. And there is a beautiful exhibition in a visitor center about the nature of Šumava. And we made a short research there. So people went through the exhibition, and then after that, we asked them, what can you remember? What was it? What can you remember from the exhibition? And they were like, well, it was about the national park. Yeah, it was about Šumava National Park, about the nature. Yeah. They couldn't remember much, and you know why? Because though it's beautiful, there are 16 panels at the same hierarchical level, and once you come to 6th or 7th, you are overwhelmed and you cannot make sense of it. You cannot store the information. It doesn't mean there shouldn't be 16 panels, but they need to be organized into like clusters, each cluster with like a headline telling you the main story, what we call sub-theme, and then you can receive much more information, but not if you've got at the same hierarchical level 16. So it's the same when you are on guided tour and people just start telling you names of the flowers, name. You may make notes, but you can't remember. If you got only like, I don't know, 4 or 5, you know, then you can remember that much better. So this is the core of thematic interpretation. So there is this like topic. The topic could be water. Then there is a theme. This is the one sentence you want to tell, and then it divides into what we call sub-themes that are directly connected with the theme. And this is the way how we organize visitor centers, educational trails, guided tours, any communication with public in national parks in their free time through this scheme. I give you an example. Oh no, this is Czech, sorry. Brown bear, it will be an exercise. Yeah, get ready, your pencil's ready. So the topic would be brown bear, medvěd. And then what could be the possible themes, the main themes? For example, this one. Brown bear is again migrating to parts of Europe where he was made extinct in the past. That's true, right? Or brown bear survives because of its excellent hunting skills. It's not true that way. He's not a hunter, he's more gatherer, I would say. I'll say foraging skills. Brown bear illustrates how humans change their attitudes towards nature. Could be because they are growing in number because we are protecting them. Or brown bear was part of life and beliefs of our ancestors. Yeah, especially for Slavish nations, brown bear was very important. Or brown bear is overcoming fear and forages close to humans. You know, so this, if we pick up one of those as the main theme, then being that panel or visitor center, it will it may say the same facts, but structured in different way based on the main theme. And this is the way how people can learn more, because if we only put there a bunch of information, they cannot make sense of it. So let's have a look at this. If we pick up the main theme, the first one, brown bear is again migrating to parts of Europe where he was made extinct. What would be the sub-themes then? How would you support it? What would be, and I always tell people, try to make a sentence that's connected with the main theme through because. So what, because when there is a logic argument, you can remember things much better. You know, also politicians use it when they speak. They always give you some logic argument so that you can buy it and you can remember it better. So for example, so if we make this main theme, have you got any ideas? What would be the underpinning facts for this theme? I'll give you some examples. It's migrating because humans change their opinion about them, and we are protecting birds. We are not shooting them anymore, at least legally, right? Or because the weaker males are pushed away from their territory by stronger ones. They are territorial. I personally witnessed a fight for a female by two males. Oh, it was terrifying. It was terrifying. I would never ever would like to witness that again. It was in Slovakia, Velká Fatra National Park. It was very close to me. Oh, it was 30 meters from me. Horrible. Oh, brown bear is well prepared for migration because it can walk up to 50 kilometers a day. Or brown bear can adjust to different places because they can eat wide variety of food. They are eating and eggs. They are eating small animals. They are eating bugs. They are eating snails. They are eating blueberries, whatever, you know. So they can eat anything. But not this one. Bear was sacred animal for Slavish people, so they could not call it by name. You know, we don't call bear a bear. We call it medved, the one who knows where the honey is. It's sacred. We cannot call it. We cannot give it a name. Not giving names to sacred things. Okay, so this is an example. You know, so when I was building this, say, a panel about brown bear, I would take this main theme and then support it with these sub themes. And it makes logic to everyone. Yes, and because otherwise, if I only take the topic, the brown bear, and then I end up with a lot of funny facts about them, and they are not in a logical structure, but this makes clear logic structure, the storyline, we call that. Yeah, I already mentioned mental capacity. It was told, yeah, this is this 4, it's in the presentation. Let's go to the last 2 in the last 5 minutes. So the tour relevant, what it means relevant, it's what we already went through with Freeman Tilden. It needs to relate to our everyday lives, basically. It's quite easy with animals, for example, but it's more difficult with other topics. So we use so-called universal emotions, universals. These are emotions that are shared across the world by all the people. Fear, from, you know, pain, friendship, love, or success, or, you know, disregard. So these are all things that we go through our lives, and we are exposed to them. And we can use them even with geology. Now, this is an example, again, how would you interpret geology? Just gray stones, you know, gray or red stones. This is an example from Scotland, Knock Crag, and they made this educational trail about local geology, and they are using personal stories there. Actually, there are these 2 sculptures of these 2 geologists, because at this place, it was quite interesting. I don't know if I got time to tell the story, but there was at this place in the mid-19th century, there were the geologists who find out that at this place, the younger rocks are below the older rocks, and they published it. And all the geologists from the Royal Geological Society tell them they are idiots and it's nonsense, because younger rocks couldn't be below the older ones, because it would completely change the whole geology, and then we couldn't rely on our geological knowledge. But then, so these people were kicked off from the Royal Geological Society, and they never ever published anything else, and they died in disregard. But 50 years later, these two geologists, Ben Peach and John Horn, came to the place, made geological mapping, and found out that at this place, the older rocks are above the younger ones. And they also came with the explanation, with tectonics. They say it's tectonics. So actually, the older ones were pushed below, pushed above the younger ones. And it changed the paradigm of geology. It changed the geological laws. But those people who first mentioned that, they were already gone, you know, so they never got recognition for that. So even into geology, you can put personal stories. And the last one, enjoyable. Enjoyable means that it doesn't mean that it's always fun. It's, by the way, this is my sister. She's now 30 something, and we were ringing birds. You know, we were, how to call it? We have put the rings on birds, and I've got this picture here intentionally because it's woodpecker, and in woodpecker, if you ever work with birds, with woodpeckers, it's very painful. They big, you know, it's so painful. So that's why I have it here. It doesn't mean because my sister, if she hadn't known about this, that it's painful, she would probably just yell and say, no, I don't want to, and run away from the bird. But when you tell her before, you know, it will hurt. Are you going into it? And she said, okay, yes, I'm going. It's interesting, you know. So then she knows what to expect. And there are also, like, yesterday I was in concentration camp. I was in a terrorism concentration camp with Graham Black, because that's where we got the seminar. And this is a piece where you do not expect to be enjoyable. Enjoy it. You shouldn't enjoy a prison from World War II, right? But you should contemplate. You should reflect upon our values and life and why it's happening again these days. So, so you need to, you need to kind of expect what's ahead of you as a visitor in order to enjoy it. Yeah, to put it simple. So these were the 4 qualities: strong theme, organized, relevant, enjoyable. And now the question, why this visit to Speedwell Cavern was so successful, why I can still remember it. So number 1, it concentrated my attention to one thing, one topic, lead mining. Number 2, it used simple language, and it was a storyline. It was a story, and people remember stories. Number 3, the narrative touched the emotions, the universal emotions: success, failure, health, death, hard work. And yes, and the guide was able to moderate expectations. I forgot to tell you, but before we needed to go 140 stairs down there to get to the boat. And at the very beginning, there was me, my friend, and an elderly couple that were going in this group. And he looked at us, and first he asked, have you ever been to a cave? Which is a super professional question. If you ever were guiding to the cave, you know why. Because many people have claustrophobia, you know, or they became, it's real bad when you are down there. So that's why you need to ask, have you ever been to a cave? You know, and was it okay? So, and I said, yes, I was in a cave. And where in a cave? So, I'm from Moravian Karst. We've got 1,000 caves there. Oh, are you also caving? He said, yes, I'm also caving. Oh, I'm sorry, but you probably wouldn't be delighted here. I'm afraid this is not for you. This is just a simple boat drive, and we come to one cavern only. You can go and return your ticket, and you receive your money back. I promise. He really told me that. You know, so he tried to moderate my expectations, not to be. And then to the elderly people, he said, you know, it's 140 stairs down there. Are you okay? Is it okay for you? You know, for your heart or medical conditions? So that's important. Okay. What's the time? Oh, still 3 minutes. Okay, so now I've got 2 last slides. Number 1, different disciplines of heritage interpretation. Guiding, I've already mentioned it. Writing, making the panels, exhibitions, etc. Interpretive planning, These are picture. I'm currently doing interpretive plan for the Vyšehrad in Prague. We are doing new exhibition there. I'm also doing the Moravian Karst interpretive plan. So we also try to make a visitor communication strategy for the whole national parks, so that we all the people there, the staff of national park, but also service providers, tourist management agency, they all speak the same language, and they know what to promote and what not to promote, because the protection, conservation is the paramount. Live interpretation, a costume, this is like a paleolithical, but he's a really good Paleolithic guy. He almost lives like that. Interpretive hosting, this is how you deal with the hotel owners, how people in tourist business, so they also put some interpretation into what they do, etc. So there are other fields. And what is the current discourse? Yeah, and this is Interpret Europe. We offer courses on this in Interpret Europe, guiding, writing, planning, hosting. So number one, what is quality? What is high quality visitor center? What is high quality interpretive panel, guided tour, etc.? How to deal with people? What quality means actually? Accessibility, is it for everyone? Is it also for people from other backgrounds, like immigrants? By the way, we've got very interesting here in Vyšehrad. We do research, visitor research, very interesting inputs from Ukrainians. A lot of Ukrainians in the Czech Republic now, so very interesting to see their viewpoints. Authenticity, about, because authentic things are people want to see authentic things, but they're also destroying them by seeing them, so how to deal with this, how to balance that. New media, especially the digital media, and how to deal with that, because as I told, that very often they do not work as good as we expected. Manipulation, because the techniques we use, the techniques I showed you, they are used in manipulation as well, in political communication, for example. And then, of course, follow-up relationship with visitor. So after the visit, is this the end, or do we continue somewhere else? And that's it. Yeah, inclusiveness, participation in universal values. This is what Interpret Europe pursues, that we include and we do participant interpretation together with local people. Let the voice of local people is heard. And that's all from me. Thank you very much for your attention. And now we got 10 minutes for discussion.
Thank you. Michal, thank you very, very much. And before I start with my questions, possibly my students would, there is some question in the chat. Let me see. No, there is no questions. Unfortunately, I expected several questions because this is very interesting and very new to us. But I see that everything is clear to them. And this is a nice sign to me. So my first question is whether can we expand our communication and possibly invite you for the Carpathian School with your presentation and another presentation possibly, because this is very important to us to have a link between the project and Carpathian School, which is a really nice placement for study, for sharing the thoughts, and invite new generation and young generation for teaching, studying, and blah, 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 so on. So whether it's possible to...
Yeah, it's possible. Send me dates and we can talk about it. Yeah, I'll be delighted. Dmitry Vasilovich has got a question.
So, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. I must thank you for the presentation. It was a very good presentation. Can you hear me well? Yeah?
Yeah, we do.
Okay. I think my microphone is lagging. Okay. My first question is why did the park called Mission 66?
Okay. Yeah. It's a bit more complicated because, United States is a country of immigrants, and they try to have something that's common to all of them to become Americans. And that's why the American national parks and American nature has got a bit different role in United States than we know from Europe. When it's more about conservation, there it's also the unifying idea to which all the people can attach, all the immigrants, you know. So for them, because they do not share history, but they share the land. So presenting the beauties of American nature is important for them at national level. And this is the argument that National Park Service used towards the federal government to start the Mission 66 and to get this money to attract people to their natural heritage. And you must think it's 1956, 1955, 1954, this is how to prepare it. And there was no like environmental movement, or people were not afraid of destructing nature. We are having different viewpoint today. We rather set things apart and let people don't go there, right? But at that time, they got different viewpoint. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. And another question, can you please recommend me some literature about this theme? I'm very interested in this.
This one, Interpretation, Making Difference on Purpose by Sam Ham. Definitely this one.
Oh, yes, thank you. I got screenshot. Thank you again.
Yeah, super.
And thank you for your presentation. It was very great.
Yeah.
There is a list of literature at the end of the presentation, so you can go and follow up with all, and possibly you can simply ask question in written and send it to Michal if he does not. Okay. I think that this is the main idea that you can share with us is your experience and your feeling and your emotions about the interpretation, and I'm really amazing of that. So other questions, please?
Yeah, I just want to add this, no problem if you send me an email and I can send you over the literature, or maybe even we've got something scanned, you know. I don't share it normally because it's basically illegal, but we've got it for our members, so we can share. I know I can understand some of that is very difficult to access for you.
Yeah, this is the problem to us, and actually the main idea of the Visegrad grant and the following Carpathian school is to bring people to understanding, I mean school boys and students to understanding that we can teach from experience of other countries, and possibly some people would like to make a bachelor thesis based on these topics and these topics that we recommend, like best stories from neighborhood countries. So other questions, please? We still have 4 minutes. This is for me, I guess. Well, once people are thinking about the questions, let me ask my question. First of all, when we talk about sustainability and sustainable region like Carpathian Mountains, we are thinking about stakeholders. And stakeholders doesn't mean that all of them support your idea. I think that it is very clear to you, but not clear to Ukrainians, that they should be another stakeholders who are differently against of your idea. And it should be a clash between them. So my question is, how do you select an appropriate stakeholders who will support you and give some possibly money or ideas and blah, blah, blah. Thank you.
So there are like 2 levels of it. Number 1 is during interpretive planning, we try to put all the stakeholders on one side, and me as like external consultant, I'm there as a facilitator of the dialogue in between the national park and the stakeholders. And so far, we always managed somehow, despite of the fact that at the very beginning, for example, a forestry company was strongly against the national park, you know, but then we are not sorting out all their problems in between, but at least the communication towards the visitors, we try to find the same spot. So that's like one thing, the process of putting interpretation together. Another thing is the direct communication to visitors and to people. And at this point, it's actually very beneficial if the people will come to a visitor center and they can compare different viewpoints. So this is what the loggers say. This is what national park says. And you can decide what you want. You know, it's much better than if we only give one-sided information, because number one, the loggers say, okay, yes, we are there. So yeah, good, it's good. But on the other hand, the people see that we are not just persuading them to something, but we are giving different viewpoints, and it starts the mental process. And we need the mental process in order so that people make any standpoints. Otherwise, they just say, yeah, it's nice, it's interesting. So that's why we intentionally make controversy actually into messaging to people and show them what the people. So just today, I could see a film made by one of my colleagues about Krkonoše National Park, and the film, it's 10 minutes film, and it starts with what happens if there will be no national park. And there is like a guy, the main character, and he's exploring. He doesn't want to have the national park there because he wants have a ski lift. He wants to have all these things, you know. But the film is so well done that he actually deals with all these arguments against the national park and tells why they are nonsense, you know. So
yeah, great, thank you. I'm asking this question because we do have our partners. There are 4 national natural parks, and we are thinking in the nearest future that we can make a kind of a teamwork, or possibly how to say, it's not the consortium, but kind of this, just unite them and bring them to your knowledge, to your national parks. Yeah, and
yes.
That's why I'm asking all these questions.
Okay, yeah, we've got 2 months ago, we've got people from Slovakia and we showed them how we do communication strategies with the public. And I'm going there in 2 weeks because the Ministry of Environment wants us to share this know-how as well, because they like it. So yeah, it's possible. I can show you. Unfortunately, it's probably more difficult to understand Czech for you than for Slovaks, but I can show you also the communication strategies we developed and the methodology, how we did it.
Yeah, great. Thank you. And other things, possibly it will be the last my question, because I see the Professor Mikola Bliznuk here. Possibly he would like to ask something. But my question is, you touch very I would like to discuss the idea of training. So you start to talk that young generation people, this is one audience, and young ages people have different ideas how to capture the information. We are talking about adult learning people, and this is kind of you see, different audience and different groups of people that are mixed together. So how do you find the balance in your interpretation? Because they are very different groups, social groups, and with very different ideas. What do they want to hear, and so on and blah. So please explain.
Okay, yeah. So that's why we use the universal concept. So we use the storytelling. Basically, it's because it attaches to everyone, being that an expert or being that like, you know, people with different needs. But with children, I mean, children below 12 years of age, we make completely different programs for those children, because they are thinking differently. It's yeah, again, we can talk about it much further. I've got the whole block about how to deal with children, you know.
You know, this is very interesting topic, and I would like to expand somehow this conversation, because it is very important to us to have more attitude and motivated young generation. This is our idea. So that's why we are collected together and work with our partners from different countries. So I completed my question. So possibly people have another questions. Julia, would you like to say something? No. Thank you. Michal, I'd like to say that it was amazing presentation.
I just wanted to join to your word, Valerie. Yes, that was very interesting presentation. Thank you so much. I was listening like with all my ears. Yeah.
So
With
actually,
Yeah.
Just
Super, yeah.
Okay.
yeah, we do meet the goal. This is very important. We meet the goal and we have good connections with good presenters and future cooperation. So thank you, Michal, for your attention, for your
Thank you for your attention. Nice meeting you, but I don't like this Zoom lectures. It's much better to see face to face, right? Hopefully we can see
sure.
face to face.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let me complete this section, and hopefully we can do many other things due to our electronic system. And unfortunately, this time we are in position that we need to expand our electronic communication. So thank you very much. And I'd like to say that we unfortunately close this section. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Пане Миколо, я вас вітаю. Ми маємо ще хвилинку.
Добрий вечір. Я пішов і оце тільки з роботи зайшов. Все добре?
Ну, на мій погляд, це було одним із, ну, скажімо так, найбільш найбільш цікава подія, бо Міхал говорив годину 20. Я частину свого часу передав йому, і студенти слухали, і студенти задавали питання, і це був, ну, скажімо так, не монолог, а діалог, в котрому студенти брали участь доволі активно. Я дуже задоволений тим. Фактично, наша ідея, наші сподівання виправдались, і я задоволений тим, як пройшла сесія. Не знаю, як інша, але...
Ось там рука піднята, Юлія.
Так, якщо
Юлія,
дозволите, з боку студентки, я також скажу величезне дякую. Просто в нас, напевно, в усіх було дуже мало питань, бо ми мало обізнані в цій темі. Це така велика, глибока тема, яку копать не перекопать, як то кажуть. І Міхал показав такі шари, такі пласти, такий досвід, до якого ми ще поки що не доросли, тому у нас
Юлія,
просто не
включіть
було
екран,
питань.
Юлія.
Не можу, на жаль, екран, бо незручно.
Нічого,
Але я в
ми
захопленні,
чуємо.
я від початку до кінця все слухала в навушниках і намагалася вклинюватись, де могла. Це було супер, це було дуже цікаво, правда. Дуже вам дякую за таку
Він насправді дуже
Працюємо
цікавий.
далі, працюємо далі. Тарас десь далеко, не бачу його.
Хтось із студентів, із учасників може ще щось сказати українською мовою? Сподобалось чи ні? Я розумію, що це нова тема, абсолютно нова тема. І нові умови для нас. Але перед тим, як модерувати цю секцію, я підготував те, що ми маємо. Карпатський регіон, особливо Гуцульщина, Вижницький, Покуття, мають таку безліч різних атракцій, які можна використати в такому от контексті, як Міхал говорить. Так, у них багато грошей. Вони мають, ну, скажімо так, зовсім інший підхід до розвитку комунікації, до формування молоді в тих умовах, які вони мають. Але вони мають досвід і вони мають бажання з нами поділитися цим досвідом, то ми можемо насправді активно брати участь у якихось нових грантах, залучати гроші для конкретних напрямів, невеличких напрямів, але рухатись в ту сторону, яка допомагає нам об'єднатися з нашими країнами-сусідами. Я б хотів би ще сказати, що ми насправді маємо 4 національних природних парки, які могли б створити якусь основу для подальшої співпраці з чеськими, словацькими, польськими, угорськими організаціями і розвивати нашу карпатську школу так, щоб Гуцульський край, щоб Покуття було відомо і щоб люди були обізнані з того боку. Бо саме через такі от комунікації, неформальне навчання, ми вчимося один в одного і починаємо розуміти ті цінності, які є, і щоб ми їх не втрачали. Ну, якось так. Пане Миколо, скажіть що-небудь
Дякую.
від
Так.
себе, будь ласочка.
Дякую. Ну, я так розумію, що ліміт часу вичерпаний, і поки ніхто не зголошується, то ми тоді продовжуємо. Ну що, продовжуємо. Завтра будемо мати комунікації по сайту і будемо готуватись до наступного семінару, який буде 7 грудня. Отаке. Так що дякуємо всім, хто нас чує. Валерій Петрович, вам особлива подяка.
Ну,
Добраніч.
подяка. Тоді ми завершимо. Щось немає Тараса, я думаю, що ми на правах старших.
Ні, ну то
просто-
це вже часу. Вони запис закінчили, це вже наш
Ні,
такий.
запис іде. Запис іде.
іде.
Так.
Мгм. Ну тоді
От ми-
дякуємо ще раз усім, раз ніхто не задає питання. І продовжуємо завтра, так?
Так. Тоді до зв'язку.
Дякую.
До побачення.
Добраніч.
Всім дякую
Добраніч.
за участь. До побачення.
Добре.
Дякуємо, до побачення.
Дякуємо, до побачення.
Прошу.